So you wrote a book.
I have
Wrote
a
a
book.
book, or
Mhm.
did you? That's what we're going to talk about here.
Good
So,
question.
so I'm talking with Athena Pena, who
Mhm.
is it Hubert, Texas? Is that what the name of the town?
Seabrook, like the ocean
Seabrook.
sea. Seabrook.
Oh, okay, okay. And you're kind of what market do you serve?
Start all the way to the very far north side of Houston, Cypress, the Woodlands, all the way down to Galveston. And we are located actually right by NASA. My office is actually right across from NASA Space Center.
No kidding. Wow,
Mhm.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. We
So,
forget about it because we've been here. You see it all the time. You don't think about it. And then you see these big groups of people visiting, and it's like, oh, yes, that's NASA.
well, I'll give you a little piece of useless information that has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today. My first date with the lovely Mrs. White was a trip over to Cape Canaveral to watch the space shuttle take off.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
memorable.
Well, it's particularly memorable because I ran out of gas.
Oh, no.
And we were on a
So,
motorcycle. We were on a motorcycle and I ran out of gas. So
oh,
when we have
yes,
more
because
time,
she has since dismissed that motorcycle, right?
yeah, well, it was real close to Carl being dismissed because that was literally our first date. And so anyway,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, so we're having this conversation today. So you're a loan officer,
Correct.
right? And how long you been doing this for?
Years, about 2.5.
About 2.5 years. So
About two and a half.
years,
Yeah.
years and years. All right, and you're doing well. Like you're doing well.
I'm
Uh,
very blessed
yes. Well, I give you that, but
with
you
the
work
work I
hard.
put in.
But
God gave me the tools.
yeah, but you work smart too. You don't just work
Yeah,
hard. You work smart. So one
very.
of the things you just did was you wrote a book, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about here a little bit. And we're not pitching. We have this writeabook.com, and so there's nothing being promoted here. I just thought it was very interesting. So first of all, on the book, who's the target audience? Is the target audience the home buyer, the referral partner? Who's the target?
Always the home buyer in the sense of that's the last place it ends up, or somebody who's doing a refi. But I definitely target the agents to give it to. My referral partners is who I hand it to most often.
Interesting. So it's written for the consumer, but your distribution is via your favorite real estate agent.
Absolutely.
That's pretty
Absolutely.
clever. I hadn't thought of
Yep.
that. That's real clever because then you're kind of getting a boost from both. Both the referral partners and for the homeowner. Now, this book is kind of a unique book that it's not your typical paperback or
Mhm.
hardback. Why don't you describe it to us?
So just to clarify, I didn't write it completely. I was just party to the approval process of it. It's very simple though. It's easy to hand out, easy to have, and I keep a couple of them in my purse. Ironically, I'm very much an advocate of no business cards because people tend to throw them away. So I have a digital card, but I also first and foremost, it's got all my information right here. So when
All
I
right,
go
and
to
just so you know, Athena, about 10% of our audience is watching this. About 90% is listening to it on a
So I'll
podcast.
explain it.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
explain it. Yeah, like
yeah.
I do when I listen to it. So on the very back, it's very small. It's 3 inches, 4 inches by 5 inches. It's even that big, 3 by 5 probably.
So about the
Uh,
size of so it's physically the square of it is about the size of a good sized greeting card.
smaller actually. Cell phone, just for you to see it, cell phone. So it's
Okay,
quite
okay.
small.
So
So
as I'm looking at it,
three
when you're
by
holding up your cell phone, it's about the same size as a cell phone,
correct.
give or take.
Yes,
So it's
just barely smaller. And on the back, I have all my information that would be on a business card. So when I go to networking things or when I meet somebody, client or referral partner, I hand it to them when they ask for a business card. And I tell them specifically, I'm going to give you this because the chances of you throwing it away like a business card are much less. So then they feel guilty on top of it. But they love that. They take it, they put it in their purse, and they actually do give them out. I've had them ask for more. So that's the premise of how I use them in some ways. But inside it has 12 tips everyone should know, and they're just very basic, but they're things that even people who have purchased previously sometimes forget. The first one, though, is being most important is to work with a mortgage professional. And that sometimes gets missed. I think a lot of people come to you and say, "Oh, I'm going to my bank," which there's nothing wrong with going to your bank, but banks specialize in banking. We specialize in mortgages. So it kind of goes over that. And then choosing the right type mortgage, depending on what kind is appropriate. A lot of people always just assume conventional, not realizing there's so many other options. The next one, number 3, how does a loan officer get paid? So that's a big one lately. A lot of people have actually asked me, which never happened in the very beginning when I first started, but they've asked me, so am I going to be having to pay you? And maybe that's a result from the NAR settlement that came up and kind of opened doors of who's paying what. But I've had people ask me, who am I going to have to pay you? So that's a good one to have in there. The fourth one is, what are points and should I pay them? Just some obvious things that we deal with every day, but the general public maybe has no idea, and they may have closed 1 or 2 homes already. I've had people that have closed a home and had no idea they paid points and with someone else. So it's an
So what
interesting.
is, what's the actual title of the book?
It is 12 tips everyone should know. Mortgages, 12 tips everyone should know. And it has my picture on the front and my name, and that's it. And it's very simple.
And so you just came up with 12. Basically, it's an FAQ book. So
It is.
here's
It is.
frequently asked questions that we get asked,
Mm-hmm.
and you just answered those 12 questions.
Yeah, all in one page. So each question is just one page answer. So it's not, you're not having to read for an hour. It's very simple. They can go back and refer to it. It's got the question, they answer, and then the back of it has just like a little, a question that somebody may have. It's very simple. Each tip is one page in this very small book.
And then you just hand it out as if you as you would a business card.
I
So
do.
so
I also actually give it, I bought a mass quantity of them. And I give them so my main referral partners, I give them in bulk. So I give them about 10. If they want more, I'll give them more, but I'll say here's 10. I used to put them in a small little container so they could keep them on their desk, to a few of them that I knew would have people come to their office. Most people don't. But they do give them out, and I've had good feedback from that from several of them.
aren't you clever?
I
So
also put it on my website. So I converted it to a PDF and put it on my website.
and that's what I saw it on Facebook. I saw you had taken
Mhm.
a picture of it and posted on Facebook, because what that does is, I mean, not only is it good information, but even more important, like it, you wrote a book, right? And
Yeah.
that always kind of puts us as
Yeah.
one step
Sparks
up.
a question.
Yeah, yeah. So on this thing, what does it cost you to print? Like when you bought, I don't know, 100 or 50 or how many you bought, like how much does it come down each, more or less?
So quite a few of us went in together, which makes it much easier if you have any friends that can go in together, coworkers, colleagues, or whatever company you're with, if there's a group of you. Because I purchased, when I got it, I want to say I purchased 1,000 of them.
Wow.
It may have been 1,500, and it was around 300 and change. It was very cheap compared. I mean,
So
when you think about the price of business cards and the value of this.
so it only costs you 35 cents or so, give or take, to for
Mhm,
each one of those.
mhm.
I'm shocked
Yeah.
it's that cheap.
Yeah.
That's
Now, again, it was a mass quantity. There was a lot of us
oh,
that went in
I get it, but
together.
even buying
But
a
at the end
thousand
of
of
the
them.
day, even if I mean, I would have paid if I had to order less quantity at the first run, but I would have paid probably, just thinking, maybe 75 cents for each one, knowing the value of them. And then just been a little more careful with them at handing them out. But I think it's a really good tool. And like you mentioned the other day, when I post a picture, I'll do that every once in a while and just post a picture. I don't say anything about it, because I always get somebody asking about. The same time that you commented on it, I had a friend from Florida send me a message and ask me, "What's the book?" So it does spark that curiosity for people.
Very interesting. All right, so let's talk about, cost you, and if you want to order more, you
Mhm.
just call that place and order more.
Yeah, a
So
group of us will get together and order some more.
so
There was more amounts I could have ordered initially, and I started with 1,000. And honestly, I wish I would have ordered more, just
yeah.
because I love them. They're great. So I'm starting to get down to some smaller packs. And so, but anytime if I do a lunch and learn, I take them and put them out, and everyone comments on them. They can I get a couple more, or can I? So it's very beneficial in those situations too.
Well, it's just a great positioning tool, is what that's what it really is. It's kind of like I like pre-indoctrinating them that you're kind of the pro. It's something to set you apart. All right. So this thing cost you about 33 cents a piece. And when you said you went in with a some other loan officers and did it, it's still just your picture, just your name on the
Yes,
cover,
they're all
and
personal.
theirs is just
Hmm.
their picture, just their name. So the
Correct.
I take it just the front cover and the back covers different. Everything in between is the same.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right. Who actually wrote it? Like, did you have a third party person? Did you and
It
your
was a
buddies?
combination of Owen and I think it was Owen and somebody else wrote it together.
Oh,
Yeah,
so within
Owen
your
from
mortgage
S&P
company,
Mortgage. Yeah, Owen
y'all
Lee
just
from
came up with
S&P.
what's the top 12
Yeah,
questions we get
yeah,
asked,
the
and
most
just
common. My guess is knowing, how they operate, they probably did some kind of a survey to get what are the top 12 questions and then put it together so that we could use it. Mhm.
yeah. Or frankly, you could just Google top
Yes,
12
now or Chat
questions
GPT.
or Chat GPT. What's the top 12 answer or questions,
Correct.
and
Yeah,
what's
the
a
most asked, the most searched questions. Yes, nowadays that's the
oh,
easiest one. That's
very
a great.
interesting. I like that
Yeah.
most search. Well, that's really clever. So you hand it out you give it in bulk to real estate agents to hand out on your behalf.
Mhm.
And do you like if somebody like when you post it on social media and somebody says, "Hey, how do I get a copy?" You just I think you're the one that like you or somebody in the office just mails them a copy of it.
Yes, so if it's an agent, then I would take it further and give them more copies and tell them how to use it
Hand
and what it
deliver
can be
them, of
used for.
course.
Mhm. If it's
Right,
a potential buyer, then I would just drop it in the mail to them or send them a PDF, but obviously build the conversation from there and keep it going.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, this just sounds way too easy.
It's really was an awesome thing. I love having it. I keep them in my car, I keep them in my purse, I keep them in my backpack. They're everywhere. I find my this is the funniest one. And I took a picture one day of this. My granddaughter who lives with us, it's her favorite thing since she was born. So she got it off my desk when she's only a year and a half. She got it off my desk and took it over by her play area. And like every couple of days she picks it up. Yeah, 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 yeah. And so I'm like, it
Very
just,
clever.
it's just around
Okay, now wait a
everywhere.
second. I've got the unfair advantage of watch. You and I are on a Zoom meeting right now. That's how I record these things.
Uh-huh.
You saying you have a granddaughter just knocked my socks off. By the way,
We have
so
four grandkids, but I'll take it.
oh my God,
I'll take
that
it.
that that blows my mind. Just
I
FYI,
know.
I would have had if I was at the carnival and was guessing your age, I'd have missed that by a country mile. So
Hey, I will take it. I am very proud to be. I'll be 53 in about 2 weeks, and my husband just turned 54.
good for
But it's
you.
okay. God willing, my plan is to live to 111, so I'm still young.
You're about halfway there, give or
I'm
take.
only halfway there, but
So
I
middle age.
appreciate you.
All right, so cool. Hey, what else you doing this moving the needle for you?
So I follow Mortgage Marketing Animals DSP. I've done that since day one. I attribute my great success. I've been the top producer since year one, which I'm so grateful. And I always give all the glory to God, but God led me to the tools. And for me, that was definitely the DSP, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, intentional activities. My schedule is very wonky because I'm a full-time homeschool mom. So even though I wasn't able to follow the 11 to 1 or, this 2 hour block every day, as long as I made sure I committed to those things each day. Monday was calling my referral partners. Tuesday was giving updates to all parties to the transaction. Wednesday was a past database, which when I didn't have that, I just called more referral partners. And Thursday was my pre-approved and looking. As long as I gave time to that intentionally each day, it built business. And that was a big thing. I did that faithfully in my wonky schedule. And I always like to share that just because a lot of people get discouraged. I know in the beginning I was discouraged when I couldn't fit into the standard time block. Then I figured out how to make it work, and that was a big deal for me. And lunch and learns, those are really the two things, getting out and getting my face out there, going, networking was good in the beginning because people didn't know me and getting out there. And it's something I love to do is to just ask people questions and find out about them. And obviously that's what, people like to do is answer and talk about themselves. So that was a big one, but sticking to that schedule was it's the thing that no matter what else works or falls apart, it works. It just works. And then the lunch and learns. Those two things for me were the life saving.
So you do homeschooling,
Uh-huh.
and then you do this on the side.
They're both full time.
No, I get it. I get it. I get
But
it.
yes,
I get
but
it.
technically my priority has always been my children. Last one's graduating this year.
I
So yes.
good. So your last one's getting ready to graduate. So then you'll be homeschool free
Yes.
is the
And I can
idea.
actually time block on a pretty calendar with like the same thing
Yeah.
every day.
I and you sent me a text the other day. If it's okay to say this, and if it's not,
Absolutely.
we'll edit it out.
Totally fine.
But yeah, that you said, Carl, I have 8 locked closings for December. So you're closing 8 loans in December while you're 2.5 years in the business and you're homeschooling your last child. Man, that's awesome, Athena.
Yep, very grateful. I love it. I love that God gave me the opportunity to do this so that I could continue to help. I shared with you one day that my kids, we have three well, when this one graduates, we'll have three in college. And
You need eight.
um,
You need 8 closings. You got 3 kids in college.
yes, and I
Yeah,
want to be able to have them be debt free with their student loans when they graduate. So that's a big deal for me.
yeah. That's a game changer. When my daughter, I don't know if I shared this with you or not. When my daughter went to med school, when she graduated, just like that's what you want to do. We did the same thing. That she graduated student loan free, and I remember one time I don't even know what brought it up, but she told me that literally 100% of her friends, all of them, all of them have student loans, and Athena, some of them, like school's expensive, or some school,
Mhm.
and she didn't go to Harvard or anything, but right, but
Yeah.
but med schools are
Oh no,
expensive.
they're expensive.
They, yeah, these kids were graduating with $500,000 of student loans.
Yeah,
Blew me
the
away,
burden
like
is unbelievable.
unbelievable,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I experienced it so my girl's dad, I've been remarried for 10 years now. My husband's a police officer of 27 years. And my girl's dad, my ex-husband, he had $100,000 in school loans. And at the time, I felt the weight of it for 13 years. I felt like we were never going to get out from under it. I just don't ever, ever, ever want that. Fortunately, the kids are keen to it. And my daughter, she's on a full tuition scholarship at TCU, but she said she was
good for
not
you.
going to go to school if she could not get, because she's a musical theater major and they're not going to get out making millions.
Yeah,
um,
right. Good
so
for you.
so she's yeah. So it's a real blessing, but that is definitely that. And then, blessing my husband because he has worked so hard, and police officer salary is just what it is. And so getting
Well,
to it's
you're
just been a blessing.
you're worthy of such great things. So awesome. Um, hey, when you were just getting started, which was not that long ago, right? What was the main thing that you did to like here you like nobody knows you, or let me rephrase that. Nobody knows you in the mortgage world, right? Nobody knows you as a loan officer. You're just getting started. Frankly, if you're like the rest of us, you didn't know a whole lot, right? You're kind of going out there selling something that you're not,
Oh
or I
yeah.
know I did that I wasn't 100% familiar with, right? At least not in the beginning. Like, how did you get those first set of loans coming in? What was the activity that kind of got things going for you?
So I had a very weird strategic process. So and I joke with people all the time, I started with people in my sphere of influence on Facebook. I would see who was a realtor, but I would just stalk people, and I stalked them and I stalked them, and I figured out where we had connections and before I called. So then I would make my list and I called all of those people first, but I knew that we had some kind of a connection. So whether it was church or friends or husband or police or whatever, and I would just call and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. And it was just that cold call, the one that everyone's reluctant to call, but it was at least a little warm. And sometimes would answer, sometimes they wouldn't. If they didn't answer, I sent a text. And then the beauty for me of sending that text is always that I can call back and say, hey, I sent you a text last week, Monday. And somehow that kind of softens it. If you haven't had luck getting through to them and you send that text, then the next time when you call and they answer and you say, hey, I sent you a text, somehow they listen. I don't know why, but it worked for me. So that was a big one. That was it. I found those, and I would call and actually tell them, I tried to be funny. Like I would say, hey, I've been stalking you on Facebook, and they would just start laughing right away. Or if they were somebody, because the biggest one was like when you call somebody in the beginning and they're a whale and you think, oh my gosh, I haven't even closed one loan and I'm calling this person and I'm going to try to tell them. And I would just tell them, I know you're already working with so and so, and I don't want you cheating on anybody because Lord knows I wouldn't want my husband cheating on me, and they would think that was funny. So it was just trying to keep it humorous, seemed to open the door.
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next.
Now, when somebody would ask you, like, how did you handle, here you have an agent that's doing good business and you're just getting started with either, like in the very beginning, no loans, or let's just say a couple or three or four or five or six or so. Did it often come up with somebody would say, how long you been doing this, or did
Nope.
that come?
Nope. And I never told them. I just acted
Yeah.
like it was my life and I've done it my whole, for decades. Yeah. I've actually just now started telling some people. I told them I said I did a goal setting seminar for a group of agents the other day. And I actually finally shared with them. I was like, y'all don't know this, but I've only been doing this for 2.5 years. And of course they're like, what? And then I shared the whole, I'd love to share this actually, is the fact that agents take 180 hours to get their license. And then I always stop and ask the question. So, us, we're dealing with numbers and finances and people's money. So how many hours do you think we have to have? And they're like, oh my gosh, 300. They like throw out these numbers and I wait and everybody, and then I'm like 20. So it really matters who you pick.
Yeah.
So that and then they're shocked. I'm like, so make sure you have a mortgage strategist on your side because so just really just I guess that's that whole personable thing is like trying to find them on a level that's funny and shocking at the same time, but never sharing yeah, I just started and I have no idea actually what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but I've got great tools.
Yeah, it surprised me that almost never do I get I guess if I was 18 or 19 or
Right,
20, obviously
right.
they wouldn't ask it, they'd already
They
know the
might.
answer to the question. But
Yeah, right.
yeah,
But
yeah,
you
I
had
don't think.
that, you have a picture of a guy, you shared it at a sales conference that I was at, and he looks like he was 12 and he's just crushing it because he followed, the alliance.
That's Caden. Yeah, I mean
And it
he's
looked like he was the son. That
yeah,
was amazing.
he's
I was
blessed
like,
like
yes.
you, and he's got good age genetics.
Oh, I loved to
And
see
I
him
I
though.
swear, I literally thought he was somebody's, and
Yeah,
he might be listening to this, so this is meant as a
yeah,
compliment.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah, it
literally
was
thought he was
awesome.
somebody's high school kid,
Yeah,
and
yeah. And
he
and
was
obviously
alone.
he's younger. I love to see younger people uh,
Yeah.
being committed to something. It's
Hmm.
just awesome. So
Yeah. Yeah. His story, he was 5 months in and closed 5 loans for the month. Right. So
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
the stories are really common, Athena. It's always, hey, you know what? I just pick up the phone and make phone calls, and these other things like the books and everything, it makes it a little easier. I get that. But, you already had great success and then you did the book,
Right,
not the
right.
other way around.
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah, a
stepping
hundred
out of
percent. I feel like you have the difference in the way you feel, even a year after you've been in it and you've done the calls and you've made those relationships. Like I always tell people, because I've had some people ask me, like, how do you do it? How did you start out? It's you just do it because you have to get past that initial and know that once you get down the road, even just a little bit, it feels so much different when you have referral partners. It's easier to get more, it's easier to cold call ones, but it's also you're building that business because it's building for you. It's that whole snowball, avalanche snowball effect. And if you can just see that in the beginning and just put your head down and do it, I just feel like it really makes a big difference. Because in the beginning, it's just like, and I've been in sales most of my life. I mean, I think I've shared with you, but I own 6 brick-and-mortar businesses. I sold copiers, I sold Ford Nutrition, but I always found a way around cold calling. So this was different for me. I just always found a way to get a huge sales, force of selling without cold calling. And so when I did this, I was like, I have to cold call. Like I have no choice. I have to. That's good if I want to
Well,
succeed.
I'm not sure because like you didn't really cold call because like in
Right.
your case, which I recommend to people, is like find people you do have a
Right.
commonality with, and
Right.
whether it's
You're right.
church
Mhm.
or I was going to say our kids were at the same school, but you were homeschooled, but that that
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Yes.
But
And that
I
is
don't,
true. That is true.
yeah, because I don't know. I recommend nobody ever cold call. 'Cause worst case scenario, take your list of great agents to the title company and ask them
Who do
who's
you
the
know?
nice ones, right? Who's the
Yeah.
nice ones?
Yeah.
And now I can call and say, hey, title company Athena told me, mentioned your name,
Yes.
and I should
Yes.
call you. So it's kind of,
That is true.
you know,
100%.
yeah,
100%. And
yeah,
and also then you don't have that paralysis
yeah. I
because
mean, I don't think there's
because I
anything
even had
wrong
the
with,
paralysis of the warm calls. I just didn't want to do it, but the thought of calling them was so much better than like calling somebody totally like I like had
yeah.
no idea who I was. So yes, I 100% agree.
And let's just say, and I'm not going to ask for your numbers, right? We don't talk about basis points here on the podcast because everybody's in such different situations. But let's just say that you're 100 basis points and your average loan is 300,000.
Mm,
Just say
sure.
some more. So closing 8 for December, that's like 24 grand. Getting 24 grand to make some phone calls, it's a lot of money.
Yes, and allowing me to be a full-time homeschool mom so that I'm spending time with my daughter when I want to and when she needs me to. So that's a big deal. And I share that with my kids all the time. Like this is just it's not normal. It's a environment where we can make what we want to make, truly. And there's not a lot of, like I said, my husband's been a police officer for 27 years, and obviously, the numbers are very different of what I've made for the month.
Sure.
Um, and he's worked really hard for a long
And,
time.
and, and he stands to get shot at. I mean, let's just,
And he has got, been
like
hit stand
literally,
again
yeah,
many
literally.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a really cool business. Shocking to think of how many people have left in the last 2 years.
Because they didn't make the phone calls.
Right. Yeah.
They're out for
Yeah.
that magic bullet that's going to have them,
Yeah. Yeah.
calling me instead of me calling them. Hey,
Yeah.
what'd you sell before this? If you don't mind me asking, what'd you sell
So my
before?
most recent endeavor, I was a graphic designer, a freelance for 25 years and the editor in chief of a small newspaper. So I did graphic design most for
How
the
the
last
heck
25
did
years.
how'd you go from graphic
Isn't
design
that funny?
to mortgage to loan officer?
Funny story. When we bought our house and then refinanced it, the guy was a broker, and when I first did the sale, I'm quick with getting documents back and stuff, and so I got everything back to him. Which the mortgage business is like pulling teeth. You usually can't get documents oftentimes, and he immediately was like, hey, have you ever thought about working in the mortgage? And I'm like, nope, I sure haven't. I said, actually, I was going to be a real estate agent for many years. I wanted to, but I'm terrified of going into a home alone with a male or, somebody.
Sure.
Um, and, and I have plenty. And so I actually started and went about halfway through the hours and I just couldn't do it. And I said, but no, I haven't been interested in this at all. Now I was, very math high in school, but also very art high. I'm equally left and right brain, which caused me all kinds of problems coming out of high school. I was a chemie major and a fashion designer. And so when he said mortgage, I was like, I mean, it's numbers, but I'm not interested. Well, then we did the refi on our house. And he's like, are you sure you're not interested? And so at that time, I was looking at a different graphic design job that was going to cause me to have to drive to Austin once a month. And be there. And I just didn't want to do that. And he offered me a position, just a 1099. And I was like, what the heck? I'll give it a shot. So I got in as his LOA and for a number of things, didn't stay in that position. But a realtor friend of mine, who also her husband's a police officer, I asked her, hey, do you know anybody that needs an LOA? And she referred me to somebody who I actually ended up going and being at his brokerage. And that's where it all started.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, I have that, obviously having the businesses I've had all different. I had a fitness center, 2 fitness centers, a bistro with a boutique, a wine and bourbon package connected to that, and an auction house. So I've had all the businesses. So I have that entrepreneurial spirit. So I'm not afraid of the challenge, but this has just been the best thing ever. Like I feel myself, and you can go into retirement with it. You can go into forever with it. You can do as little or as big as you want. You can do it from anywhere. So I'm so grateful to have landed here.
I often wonder because, like you, I chanced into. I think most of us do, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, probably 98% a year before had no clue that there's going to become a loan officer, right? And man, I've often thought the kind of money that we can make at this thing, like that you make or and that I
Yeah.
make, I don't know what I would do if this, like, if I didn't do this, I have
Right.
like,
Like what is going to compare?
the only thing I found to even come close to
Not
comparing is the NFL, and I don't want some 300-pound dude trying to take out my kneecaps, So
me neither. I would have been the realtor that I was afraid to go in
yeah.
the house. No, no,
Hey,
and
Athena.
anything else is very time. Like if you think of surgeons and think top surgeons, but that's all they do. It's their life all day
And they
and all
work
night for
horrible
days.
hours. Obviously, do
Correct.
great work, but horrible hours. So, hey,
Yeah.
so somebody that might be listening this today, what's one thing you'd tell them? Hey, one thing I strongly recommend that you do is give them an action item. Like, what's one thing you'd recommend that they do?
It's just consistency. And it doesn't, when I say consistency, that used to overwhelm me because of being a homeschool mom. Consistency looked different for me. So it's that every day you have to know what you're doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and you have to do it. It may not be to the full extent you wanted to that day, but you have to start. You have to at least start and do it that day because if you don't, it's just like going to the gym and the first day you don't go, then you don't go the second day, and then it's a month and 2 months, and then you're wondering why you have, a health problem. It's the same exact thing. If you don't do it on Monday, then you probably don't do it on Tuesday, and then you wonder 3 weeks from now why you're not getting any leads. It's a cycle, and I've seen it. I mean, sometimes I'll, get busy. Like when we were taking my daughter to college that summer, like for that month before, there was a lot of misses in there. Well, I knew it was going to happen, and sure enough, it's a perfect cycle. You see it a few weeks later, 2 months later, you see the numbers dropping. You see the leads stopping, and then you see the numbers dropping. It doesn't matter how cool you are, how many friends you've got, how many referral partners you have. They need to hear your voice. They just need to hear your voice. So that's it. It's consistency. Do make a plan and stick to it. No matter how big or how small it is, every day you have to do it.
Be consistent with whatever you do.
Mhm.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Anything I should ask you today that I didn't, Athena? Did we cover it all?
Gosh, I think so.
Well, I tell you,
I
you
mean,
have,
we could talk for hours, but I just love
yeah,
to listen to you. So
yeah, you have a fantastic story. It's very inspirational. I love the idea that you're a stay-at-home school mom, right? I think that's just absolutely fantastic. And I bet. How many kids do you have?
we have 8.
8.
Maybe
Ooh,
that was the question you could have asked. My husband had custody of his 4 when we got married, and I have 4, so we have 8.
holy cow! How many? All right, this is a whole nother topic, but just real quick, how many? Gosh, so that's a family of 10.
Yes, yeah. And everybody always says, "Oh, the Brady Bunch," and we're like, "Nope, you have to be old enough to know 8 is enough."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
4 boys and 4 girls.
So how many at any one given time was living under the same roof?
So in the beginning, we had 6 and a my brother-in-law and a boyfriend. So it was a lot. And so
Wow.
now we're down to 1, but then our oldest and our grandbaby have been here for a year and a half. So
Yeah. Good for you.
yeah, it'll be
Good for
very
you.
strange when we're just he and I.
Empty,
It'll be
empty,
quiet.
empty nesters. Empty
Yeah.
nesters. Well, I have to take. So I was and totally off topic now. When we were getting ready to go empty nest, I was afraid. Like I was concerned
Mhm.
because our whole life had been revolved around the kids.
Yep.
And when we go out to dinner on date night, we'd talk about the kids, right?
Okay.
And I thought, gosh, I hope we're okay. When it's just us, I hope we're. I mean, I knew I was going to miss our kids, but I knew that's going to be okay, right? Or hope they would, right? They're
Right.
certainly heading in the right direction to be okay. I was concerned about me and Maria. How what's that? It has been awesome.
Oh,
It has
good. I
really
love to hear that.
been.
I was going to
It
say,
has.
so what's the answer? What's the trick? What's the important thing?
Um, for me, I wish I'd have known this earlier in my marriage. For me, the trick was understanding, and I think I did an episode on this if I remember right, is understanding the difference between marriage issues and roommate issues. And that in a
Ooh, I'm gonna
marriage,
have to find that podcast.
yeah, in a marriage, there's two relationships with your spouse. You have a marriage relationship and you have a roommate relationship. And so, and understanding that marriage problems are way different than roommate problems. That if somebody drinks the last milk, has the last coffee, doesn't put the toilet paper roll on right,
Right.
leaves their shoes in the middle of the floor, those are roommate issues. They're issues. They need to be worked on. They can't be ignored,
Right.
of course,
Right.
but they're not nearly the same as a marriage issue. Is beating, cheating, addictions. Those are the big
That's
three: beating,
awesome.
cheating, addiction, and
That
not
is awesome.
treating me. Not treating. She blocked me in the driveway at the same level as beating, cheating, or addictions, right?
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's
and
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 actually I that is something I've actually been on that topic. So I love that you said that because over the last year, that's more of my problem. And God showed me that and I'm like, oh, that's like these are so many things to be grateful for in this human being, and these are so roommatey. I love that. That's really
but
good.
but I and me being the roommate issue probably of the
Yeah.
couple, right?
Yeah.
Just being honest here, it's much more likely that I leave my shoes in the middle of the living room
Right. And my
than
husband too.
her. But
Yeah.
so it still needs to be.
Yeah.
I need to respect my roommate,
Yes.
right? So like
Yes.
if Bob is my roommate, I'm going to
Yeah.
respect Bob. Well,
Yeah.
if my
Yeah.
wife is my roommate, I certainly
You
going
still
to.
do the same,
But
but it's not.
it's not a marriage issue;
Yeah.
it's a roommate issue, and
Right.
I think that
That's
was
awesome.
yeah, yeah, and so we go on a lot of vacations, we do a lot of things, and we really enjoy each other's company. I'd say now more than ever, actually. I mean,
That's awesome.
as odd as that might sound, so it's
Yeah.
better now, and it was good 20 years from now
Right.
or 20 years ago, but it's even better now. So good for you.
I like to hear that when people tell me that because, of course, it was terrifying at first, and then now knowing the last one is going, and I know that my husband has the same thoughts. It's like shocking. Like, well, what do we do? But I do believe that, and we have so much fun when we travel anyway. And honestly, when we had the kids at home and we would travel by ourselves, we had a great time. But now thinking about the reality of it being just us, it is a very unknown. But
Yeah,
when I hear people talk about that and they say the same thing, I have great
yeah.
confidence that we'll have a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's been nice, and frankly, you're obviously you're in the same situation or getting yourself in the same situation since you just started 2.5 years ago, but taking away the financial issues where money's not a concern, obviously is a game change. Now you can spend everything you make. I've seen that, right?
Oh yes,
But
yes.
if you're saving the 25%, that little 25% rule we have, if you say that eliminates any money issues. And so if you eliminate the money issues, which
Don't go into
normally,
debt.
usually a money issue is related to one of the three, the beating, cheating addictions.
Right.
Usually a money issue is related to one of
To one
those
of
three.
those. Yes.
Not always, but
Yep.
often,
Yes.
so anyway,
Yeah.
whole different conversation. So
Yes. But I
Athena,
love it. I love it.
you're so
That's where
charming.
I'm
I
at.
enjoy. I love speaking with you, and it's just fantastic to see such a great success story. And congratulations on taking action, doing the book. Most people think about those things. You actually did it, so congratulations, my friend.
Well, I appreciate again you having me. It was great to talk.
All right.
Okay. I'll see you.
All right. Hey, and for our listeners, thanks so much for being here, for letting us be a part of your day. Hey, if you want to see the plan that Athena's using, we'd be more than happy to show it to you. There's no charge for this, right? It's what we teach in our membership, but we'll give you a sample call absolutely for free, and you can ask any question you want, and we'll just kind of walk you through the exact same program that Athena's using to close her 8 loans for December. So just go to getmoreloans.com. Getmoreloans.com, right? Getmoreloans.com. Pick a time and day on the calendar that works best for you, and we'll actually have a sample coaching call to show you how much we can get accomplished in a simple 45-minute phone call. I think you'll be impressed. So that's it. So thanks again. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks again. Bye bye.